Friend, Shabbat Shalom. Again, it's a privilege to stand before you each week to share words of Torah. Dear friends, all religions tell stories. The most important story of Judaism is the Exodus from Egypt. Being slaves, getting out of Egypt, becoming a free people is told again and again in Jewish tradition. The story is so important that we have in the Passover Haggadah, the Passover Seder, the following words. In every generation, each of us should feel as though he or she personally went forth from Egypt. Okay, that's the gold medal story of Judaism. So what's the silver medal story? What's the close runner-up? Here's my vote. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was a leading Jewish sage in Jerusalem who lived during the decisive moment in Jewish history before and during and after the destruction of the temple in the year 70 CE. Ben Zakkai was a pupil of the great Rabbi Hillel and one of the rabbinical authorities responsible for transmitting the chain of Jewish law and tradition. Ben Zakkai was one of the central Jewish leaders during the Roman siege of Jerusalem. And the Jewish community was divided at that time about how to respond to these conquering Romans, who really wanted to destroy the Jewish people. Some advocated armed revolt against Rome. Yochanan ben Zakkai pointedly refused to take part in the rebellion. And for his part, ben Zakkai counseled moderation in the face of what he considered to be growing fanaticism and overconfidence. There were people in ancient Israel who just wanted to fight the Romans. Ben Zakkai lived trapped in Jerusalem along with many other Jews at the time of the siege. And as the Romans prepared to breach the city walls, Jewish zealots were guarding its gates to prevent anyone from leaving. And so with the help of his pupils, Ben Zakkai was smuggled out of Jerusalem by hiding in a coffin. And shortly thereafter, as Jerusalem fell, he appeared before the Roman commander Vespasian, and he wasn't too happy to see Zakkai, but that's a whole other story. And Ben Zakkai asked him to allow the surviving Jewish religious leadership to reconstitute itself in a small town called Yavne. And there they would reconstitute the Sanhedrin, the most important large court that kind of guided ancient Judaism. The destruction of the temple was a cataclysmic event in Jewish history. The center of Jewish life had been ripped away. Jerusalem had fallen and the temple was destroyed. And by all right, this would have been the end of the Jewish people. But Ben Zakkai refused to accept this. This is my silver medal story, because without it, there are no other stories. We cannot overstate how important this moment was. Ben Zakkai saved Judaism. He created a form of Judaism which no longer depended on the temple and daily sacrifices. A Judaism that's our Judaism, rooted in study, in prayer, and acts of righteousness. This Judaism is found in Jewish families. It's found in our synagogue. It's found in the houses of study. This story reverberates in Jewish history. This invention and reinvention of Judaism is what keeps us alive as a people. It happens time and time again. Maimonides, the great medieval sage, took the philosophy of the Greeks and combined it with Judaism, made this kind of rational Judaism that never had existed. The Hasidim reinvented Judaism to make it more emotional and personal. Reformed Jews address what it meant to be Jewish in a free society. Reinvention, reinvention, reinvention. So here's where we stand tonight. On March 13th, a year ago, we held our last service in the sanctuary. You guys remember that. 2 days before, the World Health Organization had announced that we were living through a deadly pandemic. Things were beginning to shut down. Deaths were mounting. That day, there was a 1,200-point fall in the stock market. By the evening on March 11th, Tom Hanks posted a photo to Instagram of a surgical glove in a trash can, along with an announcement that he and his wife, Rita Wilson, were sick with the coronavirus. And what have we experienced? A year of death and fear and destruction. We have learned about loneliness and inequities, and we have discovered also selfless courage, acts of assistance, healing, and compassion. We have even seen goodness which transcends race, religion, gender, tribe, or political affiliation. And of course, we have marveled at scientific inventiveness. But what has happened here at the New Reformed Temple? We've had to reinvent Judaism since last year. We've had to rethink what a synagogue is and what community is. Let's take note of what we have had to do. The building was closed. In-person worship was not possible. Indeed, it was rightfully against the law. We eventually decided, because it became permitted, that Becky, Nathan, and I, masked and socially distanced, would carry forth the religious life of our synagogue in our sanctuary. First, we used my iPhone, and then my computer, and then a camera, and connecting it to a streaming service. And we have created a virtual faith community. Before the pandemic, I would have said, "Are you crazy?" We did the high holidays virtually. We run our religious school virtually. We do Torah study virtually. We hold our meetings virtually. We have a congregation Seder virtually. The people that I interact with in so many different levels and so many different ways, it's a Zoom encounter. And here is the amazing thing. We are thriving. We are thriving. More people participate than ever before. We have, at least on a given Shabbat, and you guys are part of it, 150 screens tuned in to us and what we do here. And I would venture to say that more of you participate virtually than ever participated when we were in person. This is a Yavna moment. I am not Yochanan ben Zakkai, neither are Becky and Nathan, but we have created a Judaism in a new form that is different. If we did not reinvent using the available technology, all would have been lost. We would have closed down by now. What happens after COVID-19? I pray that day comes soon. What does that Judaism look like? Will we come on Friday night, or will we stay at home? And then we will need to have a hybrid service, one service for the people who are here and another for people who virtually connect with us. And guys, that's going to be complicated. Some here, some at home. And what about the high holidays? Will the sanctuary be full, or will people find it better to be at home watching on a screen? Our attendance at religious school is amazing. Much better than school when it's in person. What happens when you have to get up early on Sunday and drive to the synagogue for religious school? And what about adult Torah study? I mean, I love adult Torah study. I love the group that surrounds me in this wonderful journey of kind of unfolding and explaining and searching for the relevance of the Torah and all of its commentaries. But something is lacking when we do it on Zoom. And what will it be like to eat bagels again in the Krasny room? And a deeper question for us synagogue Jews. What does belonging to a synagogue, a local synagogue, mean if you can graze virtually the religious services of various synagogues around the country? Now, friends, we've reached a milestone tonight, a year of virtuality. A sad year of being apart, but also the birth of something new. The good news is that the Jewish fire in our bellies is strong. At our great congregation, the New Reformed Temple, our members and leaders are fired up. And of course, there are things that never change. Our love of God, our reverence for the Torah, our commitment to deeds of loving kindness, our devotion to tikkun olam, our love of the joy of the festivals of our people, our communal generosity. But we will never be the same. We are in the middle of something transformative, fluid, and unknown. Little did I know, 38 years ago, that I would need at this moment in my life to reinvent my rabbinate. But aren't the surprises of life what give our lives meaning? Don't our challenges make us more inventive and creative? Doesn't our suffering unleash our empathy? That is, to me, the essence of God, that the world is mysterious, that we have been given tremendous gifts, and that we are called upon to use those blessings to write new stories and to embrace new possibilities. Let us be thankful to God for allowing us to reach this moment. And let us embrace this challenging moment to create a better world, a fuller life, and a more vibrant Judaism. Please let that be so. And we say, Amen.